Welcome to Let's Play. I'm Alessandra Wall.
And I'm Derek Yanford.
We're risk takers,
Troublemakers,
people who say what needs to be said,
and ask the questions most people won't.
This is a podcast for serious and not so serious people doing big things.
Every episode, we dig into something real. Fear, power, the shit that's in the way.
Sometimes with guests, sometimes just us.
Always unscripted, always honest.
If you're tired of surface level conversations
and ready to actually go somewhere,
you're in the right place.
Let's play.
I want to talk about energy today.
Great.
I don't know what you want to talk about, but if it flows with the idea of energy,
Yeah.
so I want to talk about energy. And I'm on a slight high right now, like a endorphin high. And I'm comparing it to the low I was at this morning and the lower low I was at yesterday. So I'm looking at the vagaries of our energy.
Okay.
And how that goes. You up for that conversation?
Well, funnily enough, my morning also has been about energy, or more accurately, frequency and vibration. So energy just in that particular format.
Say more, please.
So the past couple of days, there have been some things that have come across what I'll call my radar. And some of them have been profound in a conversation creators having with ChatGPT about the matrix or manifestation or things of this nature. Some of the content of it was about vibrational frequency and resonance, as this is the universe's language. And the idea, which I've heard many times, that you only experience that which you are the vibrational frequency match of. There's no way around that. And you are constantly broadcasting all the time, whether you like it or not, or you're aware of it or not, that's what's up. So if you know that that's what's up, and you can see that your experience isn't favorable or the one that you would prefer to have, it's a question of how do you change your vibrational frequency to match the experience you're looking to have. And then, funnily enough, more of this kind of content kept coming across my page, and I decided that I wanted to extract a bit more and put it in a format that was a little bit more usable or user-friendly or digestible. So I took the contents, put it into this AI platform called Firefly, got the transcripts, put it into Claude, which I use to extrapolate different things. And as it was repeating back to me, oh, this is brilliant, this is some great stuff, I also asked it to critique itself and what's not being said here. Because I know these things. And yet sometimes it can be very, very difficult to change your frequency, or if your subconscious is running the show, what do you really do? And so as it came up with these gaps, I started to answer just from my heart and from, this understanding that I have of myself. And in the real, if I'm being real, I feel a bit stuck too, energetically, and that I would like to shift or change it. And as much as I theoretically know how, why does it seem more difficult? And what could I be practicing? And as I started to let this kind of flow out for myself, that's what caused the shift. Do you know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting day.
So that brings up a ton of things. First of all, and please put a pin in what you just said, because I want to come back to it fast. But remind everybody what dates you're going to be in Joburg and Cape Town.
So I land in South Africa on September 1st. I'm going to be in Joburg that weekend, which I think is the 5th, 6th, 7th.
Okay. Let's play Johannesburg.
Wait, you want to come? You want to come?
I cannot. because I'm trying to plan a trip to Romania so I can
Oh,
become a
right.
member of 4PC, and also to
Rocco.
go visit my aunt who has lymphoma. And my family will need somebody else to come in and take over. So that's where my energy is going to be placed. Now, when I'm there, I might have tons of fun and maybe I'll do Let's Play 4PC in Romania
Okay, okay.
and record. We can record these separate small episodes and put them together. But I wanted you to know, like, I'm putting that energy out in the world for you, right? Like
Oh,
I
thank
see that trip
you.
happening, and I just wanted to make sure what your answer did for me, that you saw that you continue seeing that trip happen for you. So that's
Well,
where I wanted to start.
thank you. And you said a couple of things to me last week that really kind of helped me change my perspective around it. And the one was about, traveling as though I'm still in my 20s. And the link that you sent me of this property. And I went and I researched and I looked at some timings and whatever. And, the amount came up in rands, which is not a currency that I'm familiar with. And when I did the translation, it was like 40 grand. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, cool. Like, I love that this is an option because I don't know that I would ever research that. And then, to maybe calculate the dissonance that I felt between what my expectations were and how maybe some people that's the only way that they will travel. And I was like, oh, this just needs to be added into the possibilities of
Yeah.
anything too, So
You got to
thank
thank
you.
Condé Nast and or Fortune Magazine for only giving us those options. I remember a friend of mine who took a trip to Palm Springs, and if you're not familiar with California, Palm Springs is in a desert. It is a true oasis. Like there's a hot springs there. Um, it's not, it's like 2.5 hours away from San Diego, about 2 hours away from LA, and it's inland, and it's just enough that when you get there, you feel on vacation. But it is hot as hell in the summer, like Arizona hot, right? It's like 110, 115. You can literally just walk around with sweat drenched, so you don't go in the summer. In any case, this friend of mine was saying, I just did this trip and I went and stayed in this little place and you have this pool. And he sent us pictures and he goes, I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to do that. Go alone. He's like, you should totally go to this place. And I looked and it was $10,000 a night. And I go, we do not operate on the same economies. I'm like, I'm so happy for you that you can afford this. I
Oh,
said, I cannot afford $10,000 a night just to go to Palm Springs. If I have $10,000 to spend on a trip, it's taking me to Japan
work it.
or France. But I understand that thing where it's like, well, at least that's it's a goal. It's something to aim towards.
And here's the reality. Somebody could gift you, or somehow you could stay in accommodations that's $10,000 a night. You didn't pay for it.
Right.
Like, you are worth every penny of that stay. Where the
Yeah,
money comes from, that's a different story.
that is. I did when we went to Vancouver this year with my girlfriends. I have a group of three girlfriends that we travel with. They're my golden girls. And we went to Vancouver and we stayed in a $14 million Airbnb home in Vancouver, which you know that the people live there. You can tell by the number of appliances, by the quality of the bedding. Like, I don't know, maybe they're jet setters and they spend the winter somewhere else and they come back to Vancouver in the spring and summer, but that was nice. I could do more of that. And those were Airbnb prices, so it wasn't too
Mm,
bad for four of us.
beautiful.
Um, so actually this ties into energy, right? So here's why I was thinking about energy. I'm curious about this sense of this concept of vibration. I actually had a conversation with somebody today, and he talked about the concept of duality, which I think ties into all of that. I'm a very science grounded person. I'm a skeptic, so it took me a long time to not care about the words people use to describe the
Mm,
phenomena that exist in the world.
mm,
I'm an atheist. It takes me a long time to get over the use of the word God
mhm,
for phenomena that I see or experience too that I don't ascribe to
mhm,
a deity. But when I can get over that and tap into the reality that is, there are lots of things and how this world and universe operates that we don't understand that affect us, um, then all possibilities open up. So I like this idea of not just being at the mercy of the vagaries of whatever resonance you're tuned into, but the ability to change your resonance. And I think a lot of that has to do with energy. But I was also thinking about the danger and the trappings of making your energy, the energetic space you're in, be what allows you to define how you need to operate.
Mm.
Let me make this more concrete. Uh, Yesterday, I had three potential calls with people. We'll call them for the audience just for better understanding sales calls.
Okay.
And as you know, it takes a while to get to that space for me. I have to get to know you really well. I have to uh, have tried to coach you, that all these things that have to happen before I ever talk to you about what it would look like to work with me and how much it would cost. And the first call went pretty well. Actually, I was really proud of myself. The first call, I caught her. Like I was talking about what I was doing. She was really, I could see her light up. And then towards the end, she's like, okay, well, let me take a look at this and see whether the timing's right. And I just stopped her. I'm like, whoa, what just happened there? Her energy shifted.
Mm.
So what just happened there? We went at the beginning of the call to, this is what it would look like. This is why I need it. That's the homework I have people do before I ever get on this call. We might have coached, we might have had conversation, we might have had hours of conversations, but I'm still going to ask you, come to the call and tell me what would you like it to look like. She's very clear about why she needed it, what she wanted to look like, and what her hopes were. To suddenly, well, let me see if the timing's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I caught her in that. We modified. I don't often buy into the bullshit of now's not the right time, but in her case, I understood why it made sense. And we did a modification, but now it went from her being the decision maker to her company has to be the decision maker
Okay.
for this initial thing. The program I want her in, that she will eventually invest in herself, but this initial thing. So there's like this letdown of energy. There's like this, oh, this is so good. This woman is so incredible. That's the only reason I'm going to propose to work with somebody is if I look at them and go, hell yeah, I want to work with you. I like who you are, how you're showing up in the world, what you want to do, and you're super coachable. Um, and I'm invested in going through this journey with you. Okay, slight letdown. The second call, she rescheduled last minute. I'm sorry, I forgot to put this in my CRM calendar, and so I have another call. And then there was a second letdown in energy because it's like, oh, wait, so this is important to me, but it's not that important to you because you didn't transfer it in. So that shifted something in my energy. The third call was with a guy who came to me after he heard me speak somewhere and was like, can you help me with this? I helped him with a small thing. He's like, do you coach men? And I said, some, right? They have to be some men, not very
Okay.
often. For the
Yeah.
listener, my practice up until now has been very highly focused on women. And then when I have worked with men, it's either because they're part of these like leadership training programs or because they are the bosses or the CEOs and they're supporting them. Like it's because they're allies and they're working on that. So we had a lot of good conversations. I see potential for working with this guy. I think it would be fun, but in the conversation, you could tell towards the end, he was addressing what I do like it's a commodity.
Mm.
So for me, the questions that hinted at that were, well, what would we do? What would we talk about? What would the sessions look like? Do you know how to answer that question for your practice? Because I don't. I'm like, I don't know. It depends.
Mhm.
Right? I don't have a, well, the first 10 minutes of the call, we're going to do this. And then the next 15 minutes of the call, we're going to do that. And then at the end of every call, you're going to get homework. That's not how I work.
Mhm.
I told my husband the way I work is it's a combination of, I said it's instinct, inspiration, over 20 years of practice, and a little bit of magic.
Mm.
And my
Great.
husband, who's very, very cynical and thinks that this whole field is BS, was like, that's an actually really good explanation. Did you tell it to him like that? I'm like, not yet. But I could feel at the end of the call, the guy said something like, okay, well, thank you very much. It's like, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. That's like somebody saying, let's just be friends.
Sure.
And then, and just as a reminder, I'm also speaking to other coaches. So now it's like, let's just be friends. And now I don't necessarily want to talk to you again. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I read. There was again a shift in energy.
Mhm.
And what I noticed in myself is how immediately it shifted my energy.
Mm.
So I was down yesterday, like really down. And this is something I've been working on. I cannot have my energy or my sense of success or value be contingent upon who signs or doesn't sign up to work with me, no matter how much I think I've done my due diligence to figure out if I want to work with them.
Mhm.
So I sat there in a space of feeling lost, stuck, sad, angry.
Mm.
Then I caught on to the commodity thing and I felt less angry. I felt annoyed. I'm like, how are we still here that I do all this work and people still look at what I do as a commodity? I am not one of those coaches. I mean, I know they're out there. I'm not a coach. I'm a thought partner and I'm a conciliary. That is what I do. And I use coaching to do those two things.
Mhm.
Um, but that helped. Like that shifted my energy a little bit. I'm like, maybe instead of being really upset that he ended the conversation like this, or that there wasn't this like, oh yeah, please tell me, like, where do I sign? I realized that the end of that conversation was all the information I needed to know that we shouldn't work together.
Correct.
I mean, literally, I found myself feeling like I needed to convince him that I was good at what I did and that what I did had value.
Mhm.
And I know for a fact the people who work with me, I just started a program and we launched with 17 people in it this morning. I did that over 3 weeks. And every single person in the room this morning was like, I'm so happy to be here. I've wanted to work with you for such a long time. Like, I can really see this, like the community. I had former clients who came into this program who were in the room. I mean, it's great that that felt good. But again, this concept of energy and
Mhm.
choosing how we want to tap into our energy, but also not letting our energy states dictate
Mhm.
what we tell ourselves is possible and how we operate, to me is really important
Mhm.
because I'm experiencing it, but I also have 3 clients right now in that space who I see experiencing it. And of course, I'm great at helping them with it, you know.
Mhm. I'm curious, what do you think would have needed to be different for the outcomes to have remained the same, but your energy to stay heightened?
Okay. One, I'll just be really honest. I think if the economics of the current time were different, that would be different,
Okay.
right? Um, Two, I mean, they're factors I will take into account. I kind of want to dismiss them, but that's not fair. Like hormonally, I know where I'm at. Like if my
Okay.
hormonal state had been slightly different, that would have helped.
Okay.
Um, but that's all that's all situational, and I like to blow off situational roadblocks or factors because we don't have control over them. I can't control the economics of the situations of the state, and I can't control my hormones beyond using my patch.
What is it you believe you can control?
I can control, I think what I did control, which is creating enough of a pause to provide awareness to the state I'm in
Mm.
so that I can create a further pause for reflection
Mm.
and use that pause for reflection to move into action.
Beautiful.
And that's something I teach my clients all the time, right? About this. Like the biggest thing any of us can do as humans to regain control and restore balance.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you'll agree with this, but if you disagree, I'm really interested what your answer would be, is pause.
Sure.
There is nothing, the psychologist in me over 20 years knows this, the coach in me knows this, the human in me has seen this play out. Like the willingness to slow down and pause and give yourself the breathing room and the opportunity to notice, and not just notice and plow through, but then notice and understand, but not just do that because insight feels good, but it's
Mhm.
not sufficient.
Mhm.
To go from using that understanding or that insight or that awareness to choose a course of action, even the
Mhm.
smallest course of action, that's everything.
Mm. It's interesting to hear you. What I hear you saying is, as you were in the midst of these phone calls, I'm going to make an assumption. This is my projection that there was a favorable outcome that you were hoping to land it on, to arrive with that other person, which looked more like them becoming part of your environment than not.
Mhm.
And whatever the reasons were that that didn't happen, felt a little bit like a letdown or misalignment of your expectations. And because they weren't matched, it was like, oh, if my energy's here, then it's not here a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's that and so all of that, right? You and I try to come to calls, and I really do. I've cultivated this so much better than even a year ago. Come into calls without expectations, meaning I might say I would love to work with this person, but it's better to come into a call of any kind and say that can't be the goal of the conversation,
Okay.
right? That can be an outcome of a conversation, but that can't be the goal of the conversation. The goal of the conversation is to connect, to see what's there, to get to know somebody, to learn what they need. But the hope might be, and at the outcome of all of that, maybe we work together. There are plenty of times where I've had conversations with people and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I've come in with that intention and end the call going, I definitely don't want to work with this person. There have been times where I've had calls where, I expect things to go one way and I have a call and they go the other way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's really good. I'm happy to learn that because the
Yeah.
fact is it wasn't a good fit. And it's not the same thing as thank God. It's like, oh, well, this didn't work out.
Yeah.
It'd been cool if it had worked out, but it's okay if it doesn't.
Yeah.
We talked a while ago in one of our first episodes kind of about the beliefs and the mindsets that hold us back, right? And we were talking about it last episode too. And so I think part of what got triggered is in my early years, especially as a coach, and in my first iteration of my business, I walked around, I think I talked about this last time. I walked around with this experience, this belief that became my experience,
Yes.
that people would love me, that people would recognize how good I was at what I did, and would be attracted to that, but people would pay me for that.
Okay.
Right? And that happened to be my experience. I literally would run into people who would say, oh my goodness, like you saved my life. Oh my goodness, like that insight, like without that help, that advice, that whatever you provided. And they would talk about how instrumental it was. But the second you move the conversation towards, well, how about working together? And money was involved. Suddenly it's like, nope. Right. But that didn't mean that maybe a week later that same person wasn't back asking for more support, more help, more whatever.
Right.
That's on me. It's about energetically to bring that back, how I show up in conversations. Do I show up as the helper or the authority? How's there, if I'm the authority, I can also be the helper, but if I'm just the helper, I can't be the authority. I think part of that is what got triggered yesterday, that I had built these incredible conversations with people that I deemed really interesting. Again, would never be having this call with them if they weren't people that at some point in time I thought I would be a hell yes to. And I was like, oh, what does a girl need to do for people to go, oh my goodness, you blew my socks off. That was so helpful. By the way, I'm already playing it out and I'm seeing how impactful those few things were. And of course, I'm going to work with you without trying to commoditize what's going on. And with that guy, that was one of the things we did. We did a couple things and I'm like, were you able to use this? Like, yes. Oh my goodness. It changed everything. And the conversations I was having and the energy I was walking in the room with and what happened here. I'm like, how many reminders do people need? But you know what? That's not on me. And my thought around energy is how your energy can swing high and low. I started the day a little tired because of that, but I had a great peer advisory call with my clients that boosted my energy up. Then I had another interesting call with a potential guy I might work with in a few years and in a few months from now. I really like him. We'll see. He's about to have a second baby, so we'll see where that goes. But I'm really happy to have met him and have him in my world. Then we had the launch call for this new program. and I had very low expectations, and it was just amazing. And I can feel my energy go. But the same way you can't necessarily operate when your energy is down and have that be what directs how you engage with the world, you can't do the same thing when your energy's up just because it feels more pleasant or positive either.
Mm. So the interesting thing, I think I'll start with this, is when I become aware that myself, you, this conversation, the way that we interact, the stars, the clouds, the light in this room, money, the earth, actually is all energy, just in different forms, in different frequencies, at different rates of vibration. When I'm able to remember and hold all of that in my awareness at one time, well, what am I really talking about? Versus, oh, when I talk about energy as this particular thing that's like separate from me or is caused by this or caused by that. When that kind of seems, if I hold that construct, then I can maybe play into, oh yeah, this person came in the room, they said some really derogatory things toward me, and my energy dropped. Or I had an expectation about what an outcome would be, and even though I'm not attached to it, it wasn't aligned, and so now I'm here. Or whatever, my biology, my leg, I stubbed my toe and it's aching. That's where all of my attention can go right now. I'm not able to be aware until I'm whatever I am. The thing about it is, what I tend to forget are two things. One is that, well, if that is true, then what's happening with me? What is my vibrational frequency and what is affecting it? And how does it work? How does, like, do I have any control? Okay, so I notice that my energy is very high, or I notice my energy is very low. Do I have a knob with which I can change the dial to increase or decrease? Is that actually true? And when I'm confronted or reminded about how energy or frequency works in my day-to-day, it makes more sense. For example, a radio station. I don't know anything about radio waves. I don't even really know how a radio works. And I sure as hell do not know how it is possible that devices on Earth can send a signal to a machine on Mars and have something move. I have I cannot tell you the mechanics of that, other than it's real from my experience and it happens. So when I turn my radio on and I tune it to 96.5, I get the frequency that 96.5 is broadcasting at and is being picked up. I don't challenge that. And I don't really go, well, why am I not getting 87 point whatever and 96.5 at the same time? But I can switch the dial and I'm having that other experience. And then, wait a minute, because my awareness only allows me to have one experience, does that mean the other one's not happening? Or it is happening, but I'm not aware of it. And I like to use the television a little bit more for this one because it just lands a little bit better. So back when we were younger, before there was cable, you might have had a television that had only 3 stations. And when you were on one station, that was the program that was going on. And so that was what you were watching. You were having that experience. But if you change the dial to another station, this show is on. Now, this experience is the one that you're having. So what is the true experience? Is it the channel that I'm watching, or is it all the channels that exist? Well, all the channels do exist. The thing is, your experience is going to be directly correlated to the frequency or the channel that you're on.
You know, you're talking about quantum physics, right?
Well, I don't like to get into it so much because
it's Schrodinger's cat, dude.
Yeah,
it's alive or dead, or it's alive and dead. It's the way light particles go through. I can't remember what the name of that contraption is, where sometimes it looks like a stream versus literally particles, right? It's
right,
all quantum physics.
right. But the question becomes, if this is true, do I have a knob? Where's my knob? How do I dial up or dial down so that I have a different whatever? And what I hear you saying sometimes sounds like, oh, the knobs are external, other people have them. That person, that conversation, the situation dialed me up or dialed me down. However, what I did hear is that you said you have the power of pause. You have the ability to go, wait a minute. What actually is the truth for me? What would I prefer to experience? How would this be different if I wanted it to be different?
Mhm.
And here's the thing that I'm coming to know more and more. One of the reasons why my energy might be charged in a particular way is because I prefer, I have a preference. My preference is being met. And when I'm in an unfavorable or an unpreferred energetic state, it feels draining. However, the trick is to recognize, oh, now I have a greater understanding than the one I did before, is that I don't prefer this. And maybe I needed to have this experience again to recognize that I don't prefer versus, oh my God, how could I possibly land here again? Because here's the thing about, I think, our personalities or our experience as human beings. We are in this dance of remembering and forgetting. There's things about myself, about my preferences, my personality, that sometimes I'm very strong. They're very in the forefront. I know them inside and out. You can't tell me anything. And then there's other times where I have forgotten that. And it allows for a different experience. And sometimes things are cyclical. And I'll go, what? I'm here again? Kind of. You just forgot. There's maybe, let's say, a food that I really don't enjoy. Drugs, okay? I haven't used a drug or alcohol in like 7 years. I used to use them quite a bit and I enjoyed them. I think that if I were to engage in some drug use right now, a myriad of things might happen. One might be, oh my God, why would you even try this? You know, this is why you stopped. But I don't have that experientially. It's a theory right now. So I could be very cross with myself and go, why did you perform this thing you knew was going to happen? Or you go, you actually got proof of something you weren't sure of. You know, again, or you've remembered you don't prefer this. And that can keep my energy in a state that's more preferable, because all I'm saying is, I prefer this. I know I don't prefer this any longer. Where before it was like, how do I stop this? Why isn't this what I actually want? And so I'm trying my best to, right now, I feel like, yeah, I'd love to have more money in the bank. I'd love to have more clients. There's a lot of things that I feel like are missing. But at the same time, the thing that I really love about myself is I think I'm showing up more honestly and more authentically than I ever have before. And there was a part of me that used to pretend that I had more. There's a part of me that would never admit what I just admitted. And although I would like X, Y, and Z, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm really, if we're talking about the power of pause, honey, I'm sitting in my chair. I'm talking to you. My partner loves me. I'm going to go meet a group of men tonight that I love. Those things, usually when my energy is low, are gone from my awareness. And when I pause and I'm reminded, nothing has changed. My bank account did not increase. I don't magically have more clients. A lot of the things that I'm still wanting are missing. However, the difference is I know that I'm okay. Whereas before, that would have been an information that something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. There's nothing wrong. It just happens to be where I am at the moment. And that, to me, I feel like, oh, I have found the dial. This conversation is part of the dial. Where before I had no idea where it was. The knob broke off. It's in the other room.
You're looking for the remote control, but you forget that there is a knob. right? A dial to be used.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things in what you said, and a lot of parallels in the way we work, even though the language you might use is not the same. And I want to illustrate them because I know this. There's a portion of people listening to this, and the way you're talking about it, they're like, yes. Yes, because I knew it before. Yes, because the ways you've described this makes so much sense. And there's a portion of people who are listening to this who are missing the truth because the concept doesn't align with what they're talking about. But for me, here's what clocks. At the end of the day, there's so many things we have control over and so many things we don't have control over. We tend to think of our control as over tangible things. Whether my blind is up, oh, I actually like it up like that, down, right? I'm gonna move that up. Like that, right? Color
Yeah.
shirt I wear in the morning, whether I
Uh-huh.
decide to show up at a meeting or not, maybe who I choose to date. Right?
Mhm.
But what people often forget is we have an incredible amount of control over how we feel. Now, not initially. When both as a psychologist and as a coach, when I work with people, I remind people your emotions are knee-jerk reactions or physical manifestations to what's going on in your head. So, if I know a lot of people right now who are in businesses that are similar to mine, or in businesses that have to do with uh, in industries and spaces that right now have lost funding or have been deprioritized with their current administration, because businesses are significantly down. I don't mean like 10 or 15, I mean like 50, 60% down. And we're really worried about that. Anybody and everybody's going to be stressed about that. But some people are going to get stressed by that because it's a stressful situation. That is a truth. It's a stressful situation. I don't care whether you have $60 billion to your name. If you are about to lose half of that, you will be stressed versus $60. Now, within that experience, though, there is this whole space to determine how you will uh, manage and experience the stress and what it will mean to you.
Okay.
So, to some people, the internal narrative might be like my narrative was the other day, which doesn't pop up very often, but when it pops up, I've done the work to recognize it, which is it's a hopelessness narrative. It's a helplessness
Mm.
narrative. It's like, it's not me. I'm awesome. It's just that the world, dot, 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 dot.
Mhm.
Right? At least I got to that part where I'm like, I know what I do is good. Some people are
Mhm.
like, I suck. That's why the world. I'm like, no, no, I know what I do is good. I get reinforcement all the time. That's great. There's some people who are going to look at this and go, listen, this is the stuff I don't have control over. I don't have control over whether the word woman or affordable housing or suddenly have become like forbidden words, they can't be used, or there's interest rates, or like I don't have control over that. But what I do have control over is making sure that I'm not making it say more about me than what is true about me. I
Mm.
have control over how I choose to respond. And where I have a lot of control that comes to your energy, the space of energy, is in my ability to slow down and recognize what impact it's having on me and what
Mm.
impact I want it to have on me.
Mm.
So that idea of really being able to recognize, like we all have our own dials. Um, Nobody else is holding a remote control where they can just kind of switch the channels on us. People can't get in the way of our TVs. Sometimes it's like, can you move out of the way? See what's going on. Sometimes people mess with our antennas, and we're not getting the radio station quite as clearly as we want to, or we're in dead zones. But at the end of the day, if we each individually take ownership of that truth, that we have agency over how we feel and therefore how we operate, there is an opportunity to sit there and go, what am I learning?
Mhm.
What is this state telling me? And then we use it as information rather than simply experiencing the state as the end all be all of the experience.
Mhm.
And so that's a place that I work on with my clients all the time. But you said there are things you say now that you just shared that you would never share. I've done that same thing. I'm really big on explaining to clients, I am you.
Mm.
Right? I have my own insecurities, I have my own fears, I have my own limiting beliefs that pop back in. I've done a lot of work. I know how to act to despite, which is not the same thing as faking. I'm not pretending those things exist. I'm owning that they exist and saying, yeah, but I know this is true, and therefore I'm going to act on what I know to be true rather than what I feel in a moment.
Mhm.
That to me is the magic because it re-engages agency. What feels very attractive about the notion of frequency and vibrations and a larger energetic force, external force. And what I think people mistake, so I'd like to understand it from your perspective, is this sense that, well, maybe I can just will myself into being all the things I want to be. Because if I could just like, right, if I can turn my antenna, my satellite dish in the right, like in the right direction, I'll get this channel.
Mhm.
I think that's the promise people want. And so when they don't experience that, especially when they don't experience it immediately, they give up and they go back to the helplessness space. They go back to the it's out of my control space.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the thing really yesterday. I paid close attention to my energy shifts because I know how much your mindset can really impact your actions and create self-fulfilling prophecies. And one of the easiest ways of knowing where my mind is at is checking my energy.
So I'm curious. Let's say the Alessandra that existed before she'd done the work on herself, these same kind of conversations that you had yesterday, three in a row, that
Mhm.
are in the past, your energy has shifted. Do you believe that former version of you, although the event had passed, your energy might have stayed lower
Oh, I
longer than it did?
know. I know it would have.
Okay.
I know it would have. I know in hindsight how it feels. I remember the day I realized what it felt like physically in my body, and how
Mhm.
illuminating it was to go, oh, I know exactly what that is. And so next time I feel this exact set of physical symptoms,
Mhm.
I give myself 5 minutes to cry and sit on the
Mm.
floor and feel sorry for myself because you want to
Mhm.
honor the space you're in.
Mhm.
I give myself a moment of love,
Mhm.
and then I ground myself in what I know to be true, not what I believe or feel is true.
Beautiful.
And then I take action based on what I know to be true, right? So that's something I do all the time. I'm like, what is versus what if? I have a client right now whose business is about 50% down, but right now she has ample money in the bank. Right now she's fine. It's a big issue that her business, her livelihood is down. And in her space, it's not easy to recoup. It's not like you just invent something, make shit happen, right? Rich loves to take
Mhm.
it. Just make shit happen, make shit up. Like things will work out. She doesn't live in a space where you can do that. But if she exists and operates today in the space where there's no money in the bank, then she's lost because
Mhm.
she's existing in a reality that is actually not her reality. And she
Mhm.
will operate according to that reality. What you think for the listener, Derek knows this, what you think becomes your reality. So if I
Mhm.
operate in a space where I'm constantly thinking about this catastrophic outcome, my nervous system will start responding as though I'm actually experiencing that catastrophic outcome. And eventually, what will happen is that will change my actions. I will start being more reactive or more helpless or things like that. And if you have any doubt about this, um, take a minute at some point today to sit down, put a timer on, and do 2.5 minute exercises. The first one, I want you to sit down and close your eyes and picture a terrible tragedy. Picture something really awful happening to you. Picture it in detail, what it would feel like, what it would look like, who would be affected, how you'd be affected. And when your timer goes off after 2.5 minutes, notice how you feel. Give your quality of thoughts a label of some kind. And then stand up, shake it off, listen to a song, like just literally shake your body off, and then sit back down for 2.5 minutes. And then picture something incredible happening. Uh, it can be fun and whimsical. Maybe I picture sitting down next to Chris Hemsworth on a beach somewhere and going, I know you. Where do I know you from? Because I won't let him know that I actually know him. And then we start a
Sorry.
great conversation. Somehow I'm single, he's single, beautiful things happen. Or maybe it can be something more realistic and serious that you really deeply want. Maybe you picture getting, I don't know, I guess my mind's on time with people I love right now, but to sit with my mom and go have like a great conversation and notice how just picturing something in your mind after the 2.5 minutes go by and your alarm goes off again, how it shifts everything about how you feel in your body, about the energy, like how light or how heavy, and about the kind of things you want to do. What we think becomes our reality. Energy, thoughts are just energy. We know this, right? For listeners who don't know this, when you walk into a room, your heartbeat, if you're within 8 feet with somebody else, your heartbeat starts impacting the rhythm and the beat of somebody else's heart. It's magical. It's why in person sometimes is better than online. We know that emotions are contagious because we secrete pheromones, just another form of energy, and we pick up on each other's pheromones, and like this is one of the reasons that fear is contagious. So what we're both talking about in different ways is creating the opportunity to realize that yes, we are not victims, that's not the right word. We're at the mercy of a lot of external things, but in that context, so is everybody else in the world, even the luckiest person out there. And internally, we have an opportunity to tune ourselves in to first ourselves and then to the realities we want to build and create. And there might be a shit ton of work in making that happen. But man, at least you can make it happen.
Yeah. That was beautiful. And even as you were just describing what you were describing, I physically was having experiences of the nature of how you were describing things because I was picturing it and my body was imagining those things. And so I was laughing when
you were seated next to Chris Hemsworth too. He's so
exactly. Now, just for greater distinction, for me, the thing that's been helpful for me is I do not subscribe to the idea of control. There is no such thing for me. That's an illusion. And I know what the term means. Yes, I can walk over to my blinds and I can lift them up and then I can put them down and I can put my arms up and I can put my arms down. I think a lot of times what control is pointing to is the matching of my expectations. I have an expectation, I employ action, and the outcome, they match. There are going to be times when that doesn't happen, and that's going to feel out of control, especially if I've had a history habitually, and I've come to know this is not a problem, I can always do it. So when that doesn't happen, it can feel out of control. I can feel out of control. I can get really nervous and go, what's going on? But if I'm reminded, well, I was never in control in the first place, this was an illusion, it helps me have a little bit more flexibility in those times that feel like things are out of control, right?
Yeah.
And that's a construct that I didn't have before. And now that I have it, it allows me greater flexibility, and that's the thing that I enjoy too. And in what you were describing earlier about the way your energy felt yesterday and how it feels now, and maybe how much more quickly you were able to rebound is a reflection of the work that you've done, is also kind of the same idea of that whatever I'm experiencing is a reflection of my thoughts or the energy that I'm exposed to as well, as opposed to a consequence. Because the other thing that I'd like to believe that I have is agency, right? Is that my nervous system has been subjected to a type of serenity that allows it to recognize when things are unaligned and have the ability to go, wait, what would I like? As opposed to one that's been so overwhelmed that I have no control. My body is literally thinking it's being attacked. So there is no opportunity to pause. There's none of that's not even available to me. And the thing that I've embraced is that when my energy shifts to something that is super unfavorable, this is an example of the range that I have now, because I'm able to bounce back. Where before, that depth would have been something that maybe my actions started to reflect, oh, this is poor me, I'm a victim, this is scarcity mindset. Where now I go, ooh, let's ramp it up. Or let's actually, you know what, you've been here. If you want to have a greater understanding, you know, let your awareness shift to something else too. And know, and here's the great part is to kind of have both at the same time. Is how is it possible, instead of having just my awareness or my attention or my behavior or my experience on a particular, that it's on both? And how does that change? How can I feel like, God damn it, why the fuck is this happening to me? And also going, how brilliant that I'm in the position to even say, God damn it.
Yeah. So two things. And for our listeners, I have a 2 p.m. call.
Energy, go.
I love the energy. So actually, I really appreciate you using the word agency, because as you were saying, you know, this illusion of control, I'm like, yeah, actually, the word I meant to use was agency. I am in love with the word agency and the word ownership. Those are two, I think we talked about central core beliefs, and those are, that drives my work. Like, I will never again work with people who don't believe they have ownership over the course of their life and agency to take ownership. I'm not interested in it, did it a lot. And I've worked with, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking of the number of times I work with people who are experiencing really profound mental health issues, chemically driven. They're not doing anything wrong. It's literally their biochemistry is hardwired to feel helpless and hopeless, to feel like the world is a really dangerous place. So Derek and I aren't saying that those things aren't real and you can just think your way out of that space.
Right.
But what we are collectively saying is it's very easy in anybody's given day to operate in spaces where we are a little bit like sleepwalking. We're experiencing certain things. We're aware, like a sleepwalker, they're awake, they're moving around, they can open doors, open cabinets, unlock, like they can do all kinds. You watch a sleepwalker, they can cook a whole meal. But the awareness is really secondary. They're operating in autopilot. And so many of us operate in autopilot. When I was thinking about the topic of energy, it really was around this idea of, you know, there was a time and a place where when my energies would shift, I would operate in autopilot in accordance with that energetic state. Now, yesterday, when I was having a shitty day, I recognized I was having a shitty day. I was very clear about why I was having a shitty day. I even knew the underpinnings. I still hadn't figured out how to move myself out of it. And when I move myself out of it, I think now the way you put it is exactly that. I recognize both things. I'm like, this sucks. That was not the way I thought this conversation was going to go. And I really hate the way it ended, because I also would much rather somebody say, you know, I really like talking to you, but I'm like, I probably am not going to work with you, as opposed to create a proposal for me. And by the way, it was nice meeting you. But what was really nice is when I got to that place of going, okay, I don't like the way this goes. It sucks. I would have liked to work with, I like working with new people. And if I wanted to work with him, it's because I thought there were really cool things we could do. I could have used the money. But this other part of me was like, you know what was really cool with this is back in the day, I would have pursued this hardcore, simply responding to this first thing. But today I realize, oh, the thing is, he doesn't get me. He might like me, he might value me, but he doesn't get me. And if he doesn't get me, it's going to be so hard to, I could totally convince him to work with me. I'd give a really cheap product. I could give him the coaching he wants. I just don't want to. And I'd rather not make the money, but do the work I love to do with people who get it and have incredible results, than do really, really good work the way somebody thinks I should do it, have great results, but be miserable in the process of doing it. That is that byproduct.
Yep.
So when we're looking at somebody who has chronic depression or anxiety, the idea is you're living in this state where there are certain circumstances that are they're your box. Like you just walk around with the box. I made this robot uniform disguise for my kid for Halloween one year, and it was a cardboard box, and the poor little kid was trying to walk in his box, and he looked really cool, but it was too long, so he kept on running into it. But he could still move forward, and he could still go trick-or-treating, and he
Mm,
still looked damn cute in it, right? And he got
hmm
all the compliments, and he still had fun.
hmm
Part of that is, does he decide that he's in the box and to just sit down and go, I don't want to, I'm not going to because I can't move the way I want? Or does he
mm,
look and say, I can't move the way I want? And next year, when we make this, can we make it better? And go, and in this context, where do I have agency? What are the choices in front of me? And what do I want to do with that? That to me is the ownership. That is the beauty of coaching. It's the beauty of, it's a summation of all the work I've ever done on myself and all the work I try to do with other people. And I love having these conversations with you, right? I love that we bring them up because to me, they exist on so many levels. My hope, I brought it up because it was relevant to me and to my clients right now.
hmm
So I know I'm going to come out of it with new insights, new depths, or maybe just more certitude in a space that feels right. My hope always, and I think this is born to be true in general in our conversations, is that something will resonate with you. And it's like, yeah, like it adds this. And then, of course, to our listeners, this idea of like, okay, well, I gave you a challenge last week. I'm going to give you another one this week, which is where in your life do you have agency, but you're giving it up? Where, or maybe a better one, another one, not a better one, is what do your emotional states tell you about you? Do you have a better challenge? Well, let's give them three challenges. What would be another challenge?
I would just say observe. I think sometimes some of the greatest insights come simply from observation. Instead of trying to figure out, decipher, label, name, or check mark box things, just have a look. And perhaps in that looking, you will come across something that your being in and amongst doesn't allow for. Just observe.
Magic can happen. I mean, I really remember the day where I was seated at my computer. It was like 2019, and I can't remember what happened. And I was about to have a session with my coach at the time, and I just felt it. Like, and something clicked in that moment. I'm like, oh, this sense of like, I felt really like irritated and overwhelmed and really sad and suddenly extremely anxious. And I just wanted to shut down. And it just clocked in that moment. I'm like, I know when this shows up. This shows up every time X happens. And every time my response is to do busy work, like
Mhm.
tweak my website or
Mhm.
create another, like at the time funnels or whatever bullshit I was doing, because it makes me feel productive because I'm operating in the space of scarcity and fear. And I just want to keep myself feeling productive. But I had a plan. I knew what I needed to do. And even if the
Mhm.
plan wasn't paying off then, it was a good plan. So that, and that is a piece of observation. So
Mhm.
I love Derek's observe. I love that. Thank you for putting that out there. And for anybody who needs context, like that's too vague for me, then I would only add one piece is observe what your mood states tell you about you. Like if you have to have a question around the observation, that's it. But ultimately that idea of what would happen if over the next week, instead of just being, you took a minute to like being in the space and not reeling, you took a minute to be and just observe, like be and be aware
Mhm.
in the being.
Mhm.
There's so much potential and magic that comes from that. Okay, my friend. Um, Thank you so much.
Likewise.
I love these conversations. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Me too. Thank you for the question. This is great.
And I can't wait for your question next week and to continue getting updates on where in Johannesburg you're going to be.
Gorgeous. Yes, thank you.
Um, and to those of you who are listening, thank you for spending some time with us. It means a lot. So if something struck a chord, if you've had a big insight, if you've noticed or had an aha, feel free to share it with us.